pretty much finish up with the front end. Just one thing I want to point out, I threw the wing on, and if you look right here, there's some foam between this edge and the camber plate. The F60 is for an F60 body. It's pretty easy to jack that thing forward or backward in a crash, and the foam keeps it from getting pushed too far, so it'll save your wing a little bit, which is nice. Now moving on towards the middle of the car, I just went ahead and threw the ball stud on for the shock. You can see there's a spacer right there. As you lift the shock up, it has a little more on-power steering, and you can space it up or get it flat down on the chassis, whatever you prefer, but raising that shock up will make the car steer more on-powered. Also, I want to point out there's the wings that hold it for the electronics. Now I got this one here. Before we talk about the T-bar, I just got a screw holding this down. These, you can install up to 4 posts. Most of the time you're not going to run 4 posts. In fact, even with this one here, what I'm trying to do is probably we'll just put the bottom screw in and leave the top screw out. You either leave it out, or you can do like this back here, which is a black O-ring on top of the pivot point or the pivot plate back here. So there's a little bit more flex that way. That way you can kind of let the thing free flex. I mean, you can do 2 button head screws or whatever you want to do with black O-rings there as well, but it might not be as even of a flex as if you just did them from the bottom. Put a little thread lock on there to keep them from going anywhere, and just let the top deck just flex all over, and use that to hold, just basically to hold these plates on, more or less. That's probably the best way to do it, so you have a little bit more traction that way. And you can also, they do have an FRP upper plate that comes on the more basic models. The one thing is that it has more room to run bullet type connectors on top of your battery pack, versus this is kind of hard to get bullet connectors in on. So it depends what kind of batteries you run. And again, the thing is, I don't think there's a whole huge difference between the graphite chassis and the fiberglass chassis, only because of the fact that the fiberglass is not like the F103's fiberglass. The fiberglass is it's more of a stiffer material. The old F103 FRP stuff is kind of that woveny fiberglass, and it's pretty flexy. This other stuff is more of a plasticky type of stuff, or some sort of resin, and it's actually fairly stiff. So it's, in fact, I've run that chassis on carpet, and I noticed no difference at all, no problems. As far as the car twisting up or acting strange or being inconsistent or anything such as of that nature. So basically, now we can also talk about the T-bars. There's 3 different kinds. I'll just kind of bring them out to show you. There's the old standard T-bar that comes with the car. There's that guy. There's the softer T-bar, or whatever you want to call it. And then there's the flex T-bar. And generally, I would run the flex T-bar in most situations. Especially anything with rubber tires, you're probably going to wind up running the flex T-bar. At the Nationals last year, there were some guys running the softer T-bar. In fact, I think the guy who won was running the softer T-bar. This is more Probably a little more for carpet maybe. You know, the thing about the T-bars is it depends what you're going to do too. If you're going to run TCS, you probably wind up running this thing because this has got the most flex. They make you run this screw hole on the chassis. The thing that I've noticed, and I was the first thing that we did, or that I did, I should say, when the car first came out, this is all you could get, and the car's really stiff front to back with this third screw installed. So basically, we were running without this third screw installed at all, just a blank hole. And then to kind of keep everything together, keep the ride height and to kind of keep the thing working the way it should, we would glue a foam donut. This is from a TC5 shock rebuild set, and this is supposed to go in the top of the shock. It's like a volume compensator. But this you glue on here just perfectly right on top of that hole, just like that. If you're not running TCS races, that's the only way to do it. Just put that thing right on there, glue it on, and then run no screw, and the car will be so much better because it can actually you have some twist and some forward and back flex. Otherwise, here's where the thing hooks up to the chassis and here's where it hooks up to the pod. It's the difference between these two is very little, and I know that it's going to flex the thing back and forth, but the articulation is so much better when you have all this leverage. It's so much softer. I mean, that's why they came up with this thing, is to try to introduce more of that leverage and still retain the screw. But the car actually runs totally awesome just set up like that. And then also too, the other thing that should also be noted, it's kind of hard to see this maybe. You can kind of see slightly. Let me bring this over here a little bit. Yeah. Right, sort of right here, right here, and right here. These areas, there's stresses. Especially right here, you can see the stresses from running this T-bar. This is an old T-bar. You can also actually see it on the corner as well, here and here. There's sort of a white stress. Stress here and a stress there. You can actually just look at it and see. It's hard to see probably in a video, but if you're looking at your T-bar, you can look for them. You'll see it, instead of it being sort of a uniform kind of green color, there's this white from where this thing is getting stressed out, and they get wore out, and that's how you can tell that your T-bar is getting ready to go. This car I haven't had as many problems, but like with the 103, if the T-bar is going, the car feels like garbage, and you'll have no idea why the car is garbage. And all of a sudden you basically change the T-bar and magically the car is wonderful again. So the main deal is keep your eye on the T-bar, and it's basically what you got to do. So we'll stop there for a minute, and then we'll go to the next one.